Ceasefire begins, Israel says, as thousands return to the north. This article is by Liam Stack, Aaron Boxerman, and Bilal Shper, and read by an automated voice. Thousands of people began the long walk from the south to the north of the Gaza Strip on Friday after the Israeli military announced a ceasefire that mediators hoped would lead to the end of the 2-year war. Men carried bags, women carried young children, and older children held hands as they made their way up the dusty seaside road toward the ruins of Gaza City, which they were ordered to flee weeks ago. Some said they were heading north for the first time since the war began. Though the surroundings were bleak, the mood was jubilant. "The crowds are unbelievable," said Shamek Al-Dibs, who fled south with his family last month. "People are so happy, even if what they're going back to is destruction." Israel agreed early Friday morning to a ceasefire deal with Hamas, which the military said came into effect at noon. As part of the agreement, Hamas would release the remaining hostages held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, while Israeli troops would partially withdraw. The deal was based on a proposal presented by President Trump last week. On Friday, a spokesman for Israel's parliament said Mr. Trump was expected to visit the chamber in Jerusalem on Monday. Steve Witkoff, Mr. Trump's Mideast envoy, said the U.S. military had verified that Israeli troops had withdrawn to the agreed-upon line inside Gaza. That, he said on social media, opened a 72-hour window in which Hamas must hand over the remaining hostages. Mr. Netanyahu said in a recorded statement on Friday that the ceasefire deal would allow Israel to bring back the remaining hostages while maintaining its forces in Gaza. Israel would not compromise on the rest of its demands, he added, including that Hamas lay down its weapons and that Gaza be demilitarized. But Hamas regards disarmament as tantamount to surrender and views armed struggle as a legitimate form of resistance against Israeli control over Palestinian lands. "If this is achieved the easy way, so much the better. If not, it will be done the hard way," Mr. Netanyahu said. On the coastal road in Gaza, Musa Rajab, 22, a nursing student, said he and his cousin had decided to start walking to Gaza City as soon as they heard about the ceasefire. Around them, thousands of pedestrians shared the asphalt with trucks, vans, and horse-drawn carts packed with people and piled high with blankets, water tanks, and mattresses. "We just want to see if our homes are still standing," Mr. Rajab said. "We heard ours was partly damaged, but we have to see it with our own eyes." Though previous ceasefires in Gaza have collapsed into renewed fighting, Mr. Rajab was optimistic the war might actually be over this time. "Everything still feels uncertain," he said. "Will they tell us to leave again? I hope not. I just want this to be the last time we walk this road." Mohammed Zaki al-Kabriti, 43, was walking north with his nephew, clutching a jerry can of water in one hand and several bags of blankets in the other. When he heard his neighbors were heading back to Gaza City, he made a snap decision to join them. He was eager to see how his neighborhood, Al-Rimal, had fared during the Israeli ground assault that began last month. "I'm tired and broke," he said, "but it feels like I'm going home, back to my street, my neighbors, my life." Avichai Adraye, a military spokesman, said on Friday that the Israeli military would allow Palestinians in southern Gaza to travel along major roads to the north. But he warned people not to approach several areas across Gaza where Israelis' troops would remain active, saying those places were extremely dangerous. On Thursday night, the Israeli military said it had struck a site in northern Gaza. Which it said was being used by Hamas fighters who posed an immediate threat to Israeli troops. Gaza's Civil Defense Emergency Rescue Service said the site was a residential building that dozens of people were believed to be in at the time of the strike. According to a government resolution Mr. Netanyahu's office released on Friday, the Israeli military would have to move to new deployment lines inside Gaza by early Saturday. Hamas would then have 72 hours to return all of the hostages, including the bodies of those who have died. The text also said Israel had authorized the release of 250 Palestinian prisoners, mostly serving life sentences, and 1,722 Gazans detained during the war who were not involved in the attacks of October 7, 2023, including 22 people who were under the age of 18. On Friday, the Israeli government issued a list of the prisoners who would be released, including many who were convicted of staging attacks against Israelis. It did not include several high-profile prisoners whose release analysts had expected Hamas would try to secure. A Hamas office that handles prisoners' affairs said on Friday that the list was not yet agreed on or finalized. Jonathan Rees contributed reporting.